Hi, everybody. My name is Barbara Field. Let me make this louder. My name is Barbara Field, and I have a business called Writing Life Stories. I teach memoir writing to non-writers and those beginning their memoir journeys. Welcome to writing a one-page tribute to someone you lost, either due to COVID or during COVID. I'm very, very sorry for your loss. I suffered a tremendous loss as well right before COVID started. So I really do want to say my deepest sympathies. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to begin right now. Please shut everything else because I'm going to talk a little bit at the beginning, but then you're going to be writing and I'm going to be talking, you're going to be writing. So it's, you can't really do other things. So first of all, I have a corporate background, and the reason I teach is because something happened to me and I was hospitalized for about 12 days. And I ended up having surgery on 6 or 8 organs, and I woke up and then I was home. I was finally home from the hospital. And when I woke up, I had this epiphany that I wanted to help people write their life stories. And I ended up reading an article in the newspaper and finding out about a methodology. Then I was trained in this methodology. And then I added my own stuff to different courses and created my courses. So you could look me up to find out more about me. I'd rather just tell you that this is very impactful, why I teach memoir writing, and this class in particular. I'm happy you're here. Usually I use video clips, handouts, poetry, cartoons, things like that, but this is a very quick class and I want to help you get that tribute down. So basically the format for the class, I want you to feel safe. It's confidential. There's no recording of this, it's proprietary, and there is no replay. You just need pen and paper to write. It's structured and guided, so it's not a free write kind of class. And I teach you, and you're gonna write really, really fast. You're gonna edit super simply. We're gonna put it together, and usually we share it with a supportive group. This time you'll just see 1 or 2 videos at the end, but we won't have a group because obviously it's on demand and downloadable. So mostly you're going to walk away by today with something ready so you could give as a sermon, if you have a service later on, if you want to send a letter to the family of the friend you might have lost, or share it with other members of the family. Okay? So now I want to start. Basically, I want to just tell you very briefly, it's not like a death notice, which has the basic information, the facts, maybe even the professional accomplishments of your loved one. And it's not exactly an obituary either, because in an obituary that you might put in a newspaper, it's like a summary of the life. You also might have their jobs, who they leave, a wife or kids or grandkids or whatever, and who they're survived by. It's kind of a cold thing. So a death notice and obituary are kind of like cold facts, whereas this tribute is much more personalized way to honor the deceased, somebody you lost. It's almost like a speech that you could give at a memorial, something you send people, maybe even at a holiday, you stand up and talk about them and you could use it. So that's what we're doing today. How we're going to write this today. Basically, we're going to write conversationally, forget about grammar, forget about full sentences. We're going to write as we speak. And I'm going to help you, for those of you who remember, it's kind of like Mad Libs. It's kind of going to be like a fill in the blank thing, and you're not going to have much time, and it's going to go very fast, and you'll be shocked and surprised by the end that you'll have a full-on story that's ready to go. Okay, so let's begin. The first thing you're going to do is write the name of the person. Then you're going to say, was a blank and did what? Okay, so blank, the name of the person. Let me give an example. Mary was a blank. Here you're going to describe Mary, but don't use nice. Don't use any adjectives or descriptions that anybody could use. Was she fiery? Was she tall? Was she remarkable? Was she foul-mouthed? Was she sensitive? Was she thoughtful? Was she amazing? Was she creative? So write one or two adjectives right there. And then as far as she did what, describe what, she was a teacher at a school, or she was a philosopher, or she was a creative spirit, or whatever. You don't have to write the profession, but you can write there. She was your friend, a dear friend, your best friend. She was a sister. Put something there. The two traits, a trait or two to describe that person, and then what they did or what they were to you. Okay, I'm going to look at the clock. I don't give you guys much time at all to do this. So write it down right now. Everything will be done while I'm on with you. So you don't even have to shut the video. Okay, one more minute. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. I kind of call it hobbies, but it could be interests or passions also. So here's the sentence form that you're going to write from. She loved what and she did what? She loved what and she did what? What do I mean by that? She loved cats. She loved gardening. She loved helping her community. She loved writing poetry. She loved finishing puzzles. He loved anything, okay? Fill that in. And then did what? She jogged all the time. She always was shopping for new earrings. He was always out fishing. He was always working in his garage, puttering and fixing things. So loved what? And what did they do all the time? What did they enjoy? Their passion, their hobby, their interest. That's different than other people. Lots of people like going to the beach, going to the movies, that kind of thing, but be specific now. So it's only describing your loved one. Okay, I'll give you a minute or two. Hobbies, passions, interests. Add that there. You will have time to come back. So I'm hoping you all have something there. Don't worry, don't fret. You're going to have something beautiful by the end. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a little more time for the next thing. And what you're going to do now is write almost like a one-sentence story. One-sentence story. Here's how you're going to start. One time or every summer, write down one time or every summer, doing an activity, doing what? Something happened and he did what? Okay, once again, one time or every summer, doing what? Doing an activity, he or she did what? What happened or what would they always do? Once again, relax, don't worry, let's just listen, I'll tell you what I mean. This one sentence story is a significant memory, significant, not arbitrary, but but significant. One time ice skating, I fell and she saved my life. Or every summer, he would go to the beach or every winter, he would go skiing and ski until dinner time. This is significant about the person. Something happened once, maybe remarkable, or they were in the habit of doing something every summer, every winter, every week. It's a story about them, kind of a one-sentence story. Okay, I hope you all understand. Write something, and I'm going to look at the time. I'm going to give you a few minutes for that one, okay? And I'll tell you when your time is up. One time every winter, every week, every summer, doing something happened. Or going somewhere. She always or he always did this, and it made him happy. He did it all the time. Maybe it's a special memory you have. Maybe it's a memory that didn't happen once. Okay, I'm going to give you about 2 more minutes. Okay. 1 more minute. And you will have time to come back, so don't worry. If you have time, add more. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay. Now the next one I want to explain a little bit about. It's kind of the quirk or unique thing, or maybe not a wonderful thing. So let me give you an example. My younger sister, who passed away tragically, I said at the funeral, you know, if I called her up and I said, "Where are you?" And if Risa said, "I'm already on the freeway," we all knew she hadn't left the house. So usually people laugh about that. She was always late. So you could say she was always late, or she was never on time. Or you could say a little story about it, a little anecdote about it. What do I mean by quirk or unique? Maybe they had an endearing habit of always folding things a certain way, or maybe they always wore a certain scarf, and they were known for wearing that striped scarf till it was ragged. Maybe they were unique for a certain thing, their voice, the laugh, an unusual laugh. So write something here about his unique laugh, or write a sentence or two about some quirk, some unique. Maybe they weren't perfect. Maybe it was funny. Maybe it was endearing. Maybe it was sometimes annoying, but that made them human. We want to give that side too, so it doesn't sound like they're a cutout person. Okay, start writing, and I'm going to give you some time for that. Take some water. Two more minutes, and if you have time, add more. Okay. As I told you, this is very fast, and we're sort of building. We're building block by block. The next thing is going to take a few minutes to write. And what that is it's kind of like their overall gift. It's going to be a special memory, an event, or a thing that's very, very special. Maybe on your birthday or your anniversary, 1 year, he did something amazing. Or maybe it's somebody, I'll give you my example. He paid my rent for 2 months when I was down and out. I'll never forget it. Or maybe she always warmed your pajamas before you went to bed. She warmed them in the dryer. Or there's a special memory you have of them walking by the lake, going on their walks every day, or you went with them every day on a walk. And it was an amazing thing. Or something they told you once that stayed with you forever. So it's a special memory that you have, that you think of them and makes you think of them fondly. I'm going to give you a little bit more time right now to write about that. So go right ahead. Sorry, there's a blower, leaf blower. While you're writing, I'll shut the window. Overall gift, special memory, an event or a thing, something special. If you already finished, write a little bit more. It could be 1 sentence, 3 sentences, 4, 5, whatever you want. How about 2 more minutes? Once again, I apologize for the noise. I tried to tape this when it was very quiet, but I can't control what's outside. Okay, start wrapping up if you can. Okay, the next thing we're going to do to remember your loved one and honor them as part of this tribute is you're going to write this part about the future. How will you remember this person? So once again, let me explain. It doesn't always have to be serious and dramatic, but it can be. For example, let me give you an example. I'll always think of Michael whenever I eat fries. I'll always think of John whenever I strike out in baseball. I'll always think of, or you could go the serious route, the beautiful, dramatic route. I'll now start attending church as I want to be more giving and loving as Michael was. So future, how you're going to remember this person, and now what you're going to do because of them. You'll always think about something. You'll always do something. You're always going to slow down at the stoplight because he always told you to slow down and you never did, but now you will. You're going to start to do something different. You're going to lose weight because you know you needed to and you want to live longer and something. So this is future, how you're going to remember the person. And I'm going to give you a few minutes for that. So spend some time writing that, how you're going to remember them, honor them, what you're going to do, what you're going to think, when are you going to think of them, and what are you going to do in the future because of them. Once again, you don't need to shut this. I'm timing you, and I want it fresh and honest and top of mind. And then we're going to do a little more. You'll see. And I'll be quiet so you could write. Usually when I do my live classes, of course, I could see a lot of you and I could see when most of you are finished. Unfortunately, I can't right now, but anyway, just write extra if you have time. Why don't we spend another 2 minutes? Okay, one more minute. Try to finish up the last sentence. Okay, 30 seconds and let's wrap that up. And while you're writing and finishing that, normally this is the time I have everybody stretch and stand up and move. And just get up out of your seat and then sit down again. And then I usually, want to know if you have any questions at this point, because we're going to do something a little different now after we start. Okay, so hope everybody's okay and ready to proceed. Once again, if you're crying and the death is new, or even if it's not recent, you're still mourning, you're still grieving, no problem. You're doing a beautiful, wonderful thing to write a dedication or a tribute to this person you care deeply about. So the next thing we're going to do is what I call a quick edit, but we're really not even editing. I have to come up with a better name for it. We're going to refine your story. Let's just say that very easily, nothing to do with grammar. And we're going to make it even better. I kind of think of it like adding salt or pepper and making it more engaging using a few little tricks. And it's adding flavor to punch it up a little bit. And we're going to do it super quick, the same way we just did this now. What I didn't tell you is I hope, first of all, that you could read your own handwriting. I hope you allowed space between the lines. But even if you didn't, just do a little arrow, as a lot of writers like I do, and just put number 1 and put an arrow to it and write it on the top of the page or the left of the page or whatever. Just find a way to add what you need to add, okay? So the first thing is what I call the details and maybe specifics. So what do I mean by that? Remember my first example of Mary was a teacher and she jogged all the time. And she loved jogging and she jogged all the time, right? So now what you could do is add Mary was a 50-year-old preschool teacher and she jogged by Del Mar Beach. So you just put in arrows, you just add it where you have room, like sprinkle salt and pepper. You're going to add that there, but you're going to go through the whole document. Not every line will you be adding, but maybe a quirk might be that she always wore polka dots, or she loved red boas. Maybe the details is that her overall gift to you was to drive more safely, and now you're going to get a different car and name the kind of car you're going to get. A few more details and specifics. Just go through it, your whole document right now, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that, and then we're going to do something else to kind of engage more. Okay, so go through what you've written and add some specifics and details. If they loved ice cream, say Baskin Robbins German chocolate cake, or Haagen-Dazs buttercream or butternut or whatever. or you'll always remember them. When you eat fries, say it's McDonald's fries or whatever. Be specific, add details. Going to give you a few minutes to do that. Not every line. Judiciously, where you can, where it pops into your head. Now be quiet. Give you another minute or two. Maybe you add the name of your street or the city or 1969 or 8. Okay, 2 more minutes. One more minute. And what you're looking at behind me was my dear sister's also. So it's nice. You could see her picture and the flowers. I'm sorry, it seems to be flashing a little. I don't know why. Okay. The next thing we're going to do throughout the document, throughout everything you wrote, we're going to go back again. And this time we're going to add sense details. See, taste, touch, smell, scent. So let me give you an example. I had that example one time ice skating. I fell and she saved my life. Now you're going to say, on a chilly December morning, ice skating. Or if he always played music, you're going to say Frank Sinatra, too loud. Or better yet, you're going to say, he blasted Frank Sinatra's My Way. So you use the detail, the name of the song, but you also say blasted, so it's really loud. So go through your whole document again, see if you could add a color, a perfume, the weather, some sort of see, hear, taste, touch, scent, smell. Was it hot? Was it cold? Okay, and I'll give you a few minutes for that. You're probably about halfway or 3/4 way done now. This just makes your writing come to life a little more and grounds it so it's real. Okay, how about 2 more minutes? We're now getting closer. We have one more thing, a big thing to do, and then you'll be finished writing your 1-page tribute and going back and editing it, which we're doing right now. But we have one major thing to do. Okay, why don't you take about 1 more minute, start wrapping up. Okay, now this next part I need to explain a little bit. I call it go deeper, be more honest and real. So this is the part that we want to think a little bit. We want to think about a little bit. So let's say you're writing about a neighbor who took care of you when you grew up and she passed away. So you could say something like, she bought me ice cream, Baskin-Robbins German chocolate cake ice cream, while Mom worked at the factory and went out to O'Reilly's bar. Or you could say, I never gave easily, but now I'm going to attend Our Lady of Peace regularly, like Michael did, as Michael did. He was so generous. You're going deeper. And in fact, he was like a father to me, or more of a father to me than my own. You're going to say something a little more heartfelt that takes a little more thought, a little more honesty, a little more candor. You're going to go deeper here. Now, this is assuming, before you start writing, this is assuming, I don't know what you're writing the tribute for. If you're writing it for a funeral service, a eulogy, or are you writing it to send as a letter, or are you writing it to read in front of your whole family and you don't want to offend your mom, or you don't want to offend your father and say something they drank at the bar, or more like a father to me than my own. Obviously, you don't have to put that in. I don't know how you're using this tribute. But the most important thing is to be complimentary, and you're kind of explaining why they made a difference in your life, because you're going deeper about all the things you wrote about. Okay, so go back through it and think deeper, more honest, more real. You've been specific, you've added senses, now you're going to go deeper. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. So 1 or 2 more minutes. Usually we spend, I'm going to tell you some more things. Okay. Should be about 3/4 done. So what we're going to do next is just take a minute or two to read it through silently. Maybe we left out a word like went to store instead of the store, or we forgot to dot the I or whatever. You're going to read it back with your pullouts, your arrows, to yourself. So that's what you're going to do next right now. Read the whole thing to yourself and finalize it right now. Give you another minute. So we're not done yet, so hang on there. I want to congratulate you all for doing something that might have seemed like it was going to be overwhelming or difficult, especially when you're grieving. So I want to congratulate you all for taking the time and for doing this for that person that you cared so much about. And it's a wonderful, wonderful gift that you've just created. So in my classes, I teach memoir writing. Writing Life Stories is memoir writing to non-writers. And those more at the beginning of writing their memoir. And usually they want to leave a legacy for their family, their grandkids, or discover more about who they are. They're usually not going towards commercial publication. I'm a working writer and corporate person, had a lot of experience in corporations. But my point is, this is by and large for their families. That's what my business is, and that's what I do. So what I have, the way it's different than other classes that you might take at a local university, is memoir writing can be very overwhelming, and usually it's about the writing part. But as you've sort of seen, we don't really talk about writing and making things sound good, or being literary or anything like that. We really just write stories. So it's very story based, and it's based on the way I teach memoir writing, themes. It's themes and pivotal, impactful questions. What I came up with today, I created. It's all mine. And so I offer courses, one-day classes. I give them at museums, universities, private organizations. I do private groups, like 4 to 8 people. I do one-day classes. Sometimes I have 300 people for a one-day class on a Zoom presentation. Sometimes I have 10, 30. So it varies. But my point is, this is one of the ways I make my living. And I do it because it's so meaningful and impactful. And so if you want to find me, I'm at WritingLifeStories.com. Barbara Field, F-I-E-L-D, WritingLifeStories.com. You could go to my website. I'm also on Eventbrite. I have my own page, Barbara Field page, for all my various Writing Life Stories classes. And I'm also on Facebook, Writing Life Stories. And so I would love to see you in my other classes. Before we go, I'm going to put in next some videos. I don't know, I think I have 2 right now. I don't know if I'll add a few more. It depends when I release this. But I have 2 videos of people who gave me permission, who took this very class that you've taken, only they took it live online. And they came up with some really beautiful stories, knowing nothing more, not cleaning up anything, not editing, just what we did today. They wrote these stories. So I'm going to put them in next, and you will hear from them next. Okay? And then the other thing I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry, is thank you again. And go to my website, go to Eventbrite, go to Facebook, and I hope to work with you in the future if you'd like to write your memoir or stories from your past. And again, thank you for your time today, and you've made a beautiful gift. So stay tuned and listen to some stories, tributes that other people have written.
Tribute to Amy Jo. Amy Jo was a sweet, kind, caring daughter with stunning blue eyes. People who met her first commented on her physical beauty. Once they knew her, they most often spoke of her kindness. Amy loved listening to music and watching old Law and Order and MASH reruns. She was always fiddling with a TV remote while talking on the phone. She would put down the remote while talking and wandering about the house. We would spend hours looking for that remote. While in high school, Amy volunteered at the local animal shelter. At one time, we had 5 cats from kittens she could not bear to put down. Amy most often had my back in family disputes and was the most likely to appreciate my feelings. We shared the same taste in music. On long road trips, we could listen to music in the car only when it was just the 2 of us. I'll always think of Amy when hearing the Grateful Dead. In 1990, Amy and I took a father-daughter weekend trip to Louisville, Kentucky to a Grateful Dead concert. After we sat in a Waffle House for hours, just talking. She danced to the Waffle House song and taught me about smothered and covered fried potatoes. Amy had episodes of depression, especially when drinking or after a spat with her boyfriend. During one especially bad time, she tried suicide by hanging. I found her just in time to resuscitate her. She never tried again, but there were times she was so miserable I wondered if saving her had been the right thing to do. Now I know it was. When she died at age 43 of an accidental overdose, I realized how precious her life was.
Jack was a kind man and a sweet husband. He had time for everyone and always a smile for me. He was widowed a year before we met. Jack was a civil engineer and he loved math. He managed all our financials on lengthy spreadsheets, tracking investments, household expenses, and even supermarket receipts. One time when we were driving home from a long weekend in Atlantic City, Jack finally made the correct turn toward the Verrazano Bridge after missing it 4 times in a row on previous trips. Jack was an avid gardener, bringing fresh tomatoes and vegetables into the kitchen and throwing the rotten ones back out the kitchen window, saying, "This one's going for a ride outdoors." Frogs and various other creatures always found their way into his yard, helping themselves to the little fish in his pond. Jack asked me what I wanted for my 60th birthday. I told him I always wanted to go to Paris with the special man in my life. "I'm not interested in going to Paris," he said. He could see my disappointment. A few days later, he had a small pile of Paris travel brochures spread across the dining room table and said, "Sweetie, Pick the one you would like. He said yes to me, even when he would rather have said no. A roast chicken dinner was the first meal I ever prepared for him. In the kitchen of his home, Jack peeled the potatoes and sorted the green beans. The scent of the roasting rosemary and lemon chicken filled the kitchen. From the look on his face at the table, you would think I just served him an artful plate from a fine dining restaurant. A simple and humble meal shared together at his table brought a look of joy and gratitude to his face. It wasn't until we were together for some time that Jack told me of his high blood pressure. He didn't want me to be scared away. After 13 years together, it would be his blood pressure that caused him a major stroke, and after 13 months in a nursing home would lead to his eventual death. March 11, 2019 was the last day I could visit him in the nursing home before they were closed to visitors because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was early July when we moved into hospice.